Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to the final mission in my Rage Nightmare difficulty video walkthrough. This is the 23rd of said missions, and it is Capital Prime. So if you have any Transformer references or little double entendres and innuendos you want to drop, feel free to do it, because it's perfect time. And stock up on everything that you want to use. You'll notice I have a lot of advanced wing sticks, I have a lot of Fat Mama rounds, I have a lot of everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build everything that I can build so that I've got it to use in this final area, because this is the end of the game, people. You do not need to save anything anymore. Money is absolutely obsolete at this point. Go and buy whatever you've ever wanted. Go and buy as much of the stuff you enjoy using, and just get ready for the ride, because this is it. This is the culmination. This is the boiling point. This is the fulcrum. This is whatever you want to say. And it is really, really poor, so... send your angry emails to John Romero for not making a better ending, but hey, they did what they wanted to do with Rage, and it's definitely an interesting experience. So here I go, running up to, I think it's Janny, or whatever she's called, to buy some more crap, to build some more crap, and there's probably not going to be too much strategy until we get into the place, and my strategy is use your rocket launcher, use your cannon that you've just got off of, you know, the shit tattoo guy, and just enjoy yourself, cause this is it. This is your money paying off right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Batman Arkham City, because like I say, I've just beaten it, and I'm literally, after I finish talking on this, I'm going to start recording it, because that's how I roll, and I need to get it done so I can focus on some other things. But it is a fun game, and if you're on the fence about purchasing it, I'd definitely say check it out, because they've tried so many interesting and unique things, and they've jammed a hell of a lot into the game. There's a lot of cameos that I didn't expect. There's a lot of areas that the game goes that's definitely different, but there's also those moments which make you feel like you're Batman, and I think that's the most important part. When you feel like you're Batman, that is a game developer earning his money right there. And the start of the campaign is a fantastic point of that, because you actually play as Bruce Wayne at the beginning, as you infiltrate Arkham City, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but it's pretty damn awesome. It's real cool, and I'm excited to doing the guide, and hopefully a lot of people will check it out. I know my regulars, I know the people that are subscribed to me, who listen to my every word on pretty much every video, regardless of what it is, are definitely going to enjoy the guide, but I don't know, it's just a shame that it didn't have a difficulty or a reward for doing it. There is an achievement for doing the New Game Plus, but you can do it on easy if you want to, and you can just stroll through it all. In fact, I was researching on forums to see what people thought the hardest section was, and everybody said Mr. Freeze, so I was expecting this really tough fight against Mr. Freeze, and the really tough fight against Mr. Freeze is really not that tough. It's just you leading him round a room and tripping him up. It's ridiculous. I would have been surprised if they'd have mentioned Two-Face with Catwoman, because that's a significantly more challenging room, but it's just, I don't know. My only fear for the guide is the counter markers aren't going to come up, and you fight so many more people than you ever did in Arkham Asylum. You will literally be tripping up over 30 to 40 dudes in one room, and it can get really convoluted, and it makes the things that I really hated about Arkham Asylum rear their ugly head. And if you're wondering what those things are, it's the lack of control that you have over your combos. And there's probably a lot of people that are confused right now, wondering how can I say something about a combat system that's as tight and as intuitive as the one-button Batman combo system. Well, it is good, it is fun, but there is no way to make Batman do a specific move, and sometimes he does the spinning fancy super duper ballerina kick when you want him to do the no business fuck you punch in the face that takes 1 second as opposed to the 4-second pirouette, and it gets you punched, it gets your combo broken, and it's really frustrating. And then there's the times where you press counter and the game doesn't counter, or you're in the middle of a move, so when you do press counter it doesn't class as a command and you get screwed. And a whole host of things, like when you go to attack somebody and you attack somebody else because you didn't quite, you know, poise the analog enough, or little things like that. It's nitpicks, but it makes it more challenging than it needs to be. But this is the entrance to Capital Prime, Optimus Prime's genitalia. All you have to do is bang on that door, and you will be in this lovely neon greeny blue metallic world of, you know, end game area. So what this is going to be a linear sequence of corridors. The corridors are going to be filled with authority troops with with all sorts of weaponry. It's also going to show you a new enemy which was developed in, I assume, the Dead City, because they mentioned a bunch of scientific experiments. The game never told you what happened of that or never embellished upon it, and at the end of the game they throw super robo chimeran mutants at you. And they're not too much stronger than your average mutant, they're just a little quick as per usual, and they have the ability to do a lot of damage to you with a laser gun that's mounted on their arm. But don't worry about that little drone thing. I have absolutely no idea what purpose it serves. It's never hurt me. I've killed it before, I've not killed it. This time I decided to skip it. And you're going to see me playing the rocket game, is what I like to call it, which is I have 21 rockets and I'm going to use them and get through this room as quick as I can. So there's a bunch of dudes, there's the EMP, there's a rocket that somehow doesn't do anything to him, then I turn him into gravy, then I turn his buddy into mashed potatoes, and down they go. Slam a fresh rocket pack in. And one thing to bear in mind, when you push through these areas, did you notice how there was those orange posts at the side of me as I pushed through? They will cut you off and turn into lasers, and if you back up into them, it'll hurt you. I only figured this out when I was trying to backtrack, and it stops you from doing so, so just be aware of that. And use all the ammo you've got. You will not need it. You do not need to save any weapon for a super big last boss, because this game does not come with one. So just use everything you've got, kill them, and enjoy yourself. We are literally in the last 10 minutes of the game. This level does not outstay its welcome. It's real simple. There's a couple of tough minutes coming up, but I'll talk about those when they arrive. But yeah, there you go. So anybody that's been following my channel fervently will know for the last weekend I didn't put any videos up because I went to see my girlfriend. And while we were there, one of the nights we had a nice night in. We got some takeaway, you know, just lounged around like lazy people, and we watched a fuck ton of documentaries. We watched so many documentaries. It was unbelievable. We must have watched about 6 or 7 in a row, and they were only kind of short ones. They were only about 40 minutes, some of them 30, and we covered the spectrum with these documentaries. It was hilarious. We had everything from the evil side of pornography to designing the perfect vagina to savantism and something called I can't quite remember the name, and I should pause and look it up, but it's the technical term for any kind of piece of equipment that you buy from a hardware store that has been designed in such a way that after a certain amount of time it will fail, thus always, you know, creating consumer demand because you're always replacing them, like light bulbs, like a lot of things. They create things to fail so they get more money and they get more custom. And we watched all sorts of stuff, and it was fascinating. This section right here, the best way to deal with them, there's a ton of them on this bridge. Throw on this lovely Gatling gun, drop out a couple of the sentry bots, use your wind sticks, and if you move up to these staircases where I am, you can back up to the top of it as they chase you, and none of them will spawn behind you. It's very simple, it doesn't take very long. But the savantism one we watched had some fantastic dudes in it, cause I know a little bit about savantism. I've not so much researched it, but I've seen Rain Man, I've read about it. I know, you know, the layman's knowledge of different feasible savants that you can get. You know, the dude that can fly over and look at a panorama, then he can draw it from memory, and he's a fantastic artist, and he's just like a human, you know, photograph, a human camera. Then there's the more, you know, insane ones, like the dude that Rayman was actually inspired by, which I forget his name, but he's called the Kimputer. That's his nickname, because the dude is literally a hard drive. He does not have memory as we have memory. This guy doesn't forget things. This guy doesn't even have to strain to remember things. It's just there on a database for him to pick from as he pleases. And he does ridiculous feats of memory. And the documentary goes into all this kind of fascinating stuff, so I would definitely recommend it. And I don't know the name of it, so it's hard to recommend, but just search, you know, Google documentary on savantism. But the thing that really stunned me, that just kind of knocked me out of the water, on top of everything else, because this is a fascinating guy with ridiculous abilities, is the way his brain is set out. Because obviously there are differences between the left and the right brain, and depending on how you're wired will depend on how you retain information. And the way that the computer's brain works is both sides of his brain compute different types of information from his left and his right eye, and he can read 2 pages at the same time of a book. And there's a little experimentation well, I say experiment, it was an exam more than anything, to test his memory, and he had to read 8 pages, and he did it in 53 seconds. His father then did it, who was slightly older now. I think he's in his he's 70s. It took him something like 18 minutes to read these pages compared to how fast it took his son, and that to me is just baffling, because I like reading, and reading to me, I'm not the fastest reader, but I'm not a slow reader. I read at my own pace and I enjoy it. I'm never, you know, feeling like I'm in a rush or I want to get through it. I just kind of do it. But to read 2 pages at the same time is just ridiculous. It just goes against everything my brain knows how to function. It's unbelievable. And the documentary's full of these fascinating people. There's this one black dude that can recite. You can tell him a date, any date, going back, you know, several decades, and he'll tell you what day it was, and then he'll tell you what he did on that day if he was alive, because he somehow he had a bump on the head, and he's got this ridiculous memory now, this ability to retain any of these memories, and he just knows what days of the week they are, and it's fascinating. But the craziest one I saw that me and my girlfriend checked out on that documentary was this German dude, and the guy is pretty much a human computer when it comes to mathematics. And this is a guy that when he went through school got below average scores on maths, never really showed any, you know, fortitude for it, never showed any aptitude, and he just found himself in later life, I think when he hit his mid-20s, he was listening to some mathematics championship on the radio, and these were doing sums that went down to, you know, decibel levels, which is, you know, 0 point and then several numbers afterwards, sorry. And this guy can calculate sums like a computer that decimalize up to 100 separate numbers, and you've just never seen anything like it, because he does it to the precision of a computer, and all I can say is wow, just one big wow. And if you've never read about this kind of stuff, check it out, because it is crazy. And right then, I had to use a bandage because I was getting my ass spanked, but it's okay, because I had 30 of them, and if you've been saving your bandages, this is a fantastic time to use them. You'll never need them afterwards. And this room is pretty challenging. This is one of the more challenging rooms of the area, but as soon as you push into this next corridor, it's over. You'll not have to worry about too much more, and then it's just the final area, which is very simple. But right there, you'll notice that the Chimeran mutant guys, they'll stop, they splay the legs apart, they put the left arm forward, and they fire a blue beam at you. If you ever see them doing that, just strafe to either direction, because they will shoot where you just were, and they'll always miss. And if they do hit you, it does a lot of damage, so you want to avoid it as best you can. But yeah, that documentary was awesome. The one on vaginas was equally awesome, but awesome in a different way, because what it was looking into a bunch of girls that are so insecure about the size of their labias and certain aspects of the genitalia that they're having cosmetic surgery to fix it, basically. And cosmetic surgery is a pretty controversial subject for a lot of people, because we do some ridiculous things in the name of vanity, in the name of, you know, stuff that people don't even see or don't even know, yet we do it because we subconsciously feel that we have to fit in with the general norm of society. And this was just madness to me, and don't get me wrong, I am a male connoisseur of that area of the female body, so I do understand if it looks, you know, slightly different or slightly more acrobatic than others, but having surgery when you're 15 and 16 is just preposterous to me. And it was this pretty... the woman that presented it thought she was liberal, but the more she went into, you know, these different areas of you know, self-conscious bodies and what have you, she realised she wasn't quite as liberal as she thought, but it showed you graphic image of the procedure. And the procedure was very quick. All they did was inject the labia with something to numb it. I'm not too sure what they used. And then he used a scalpel and he cut the skin to the size that was wanted. And I have a cock and balls, and I was awkward through this scene, and nothing generally gets to me, but I kind of held my groin and weaseled a little bit in my skin as I watched it. My girlfriend couldn't even watch. She had her hands over her face, and she was just she was horrified. It was great, but I can't imagine being that, you know, because at the end of the day, it's all a base value. It's all on the vanity of something. It's how it appears visually, and I can understand if, you know, it's a detriment to your health. Like, I do understand breast reductions, even though I used to make a hell of a lot of jokes about it when I was younger, about why would you slap God in the face and take away the finest asset a woman ever had. It's obviously a joke, that's not me, you know, trying to piss off any feminists, but I understand that for lower back reasons, I understand that for health reasons, but this I kinda don't, unless there is something along those lines, because this is purely cosmetic, and every guy's got their own preference, and they'll probably, you know, over a few pints with their other friends, they'll go on about stuff they don't like, and they'll openly mock certain areas, but it's crazy. Just a really, really interesting thing that somebody can opt into surgery with. And a lot of these girls, they weren't researching it or anything, they were just running into it because they were so self-conscious and they thought it was going to do a world of good, sorry. And at the end of the day, a lot of that can be psychosomatic, it can be purely a psychological thing, just the act of cutting it is like a placebo. And one of the women had a cast of that area, and when she saw it, what it actually looked like, it was nowhere near as bad as she thought it was, and she just built up this neurosis over nothing. And it's just terrifying, the power of the human brain and how much thought has over your behaviour. It's just ridiculous. And I've been talking through the final fight of the game, if you haven't noticed, guys, by the way. This is it. This is the super hard last boss, and all you do is you run around this area shooting those mutants, and you press a few buttons. If you're wondering why this isn't challenging, I couldn't answer. It's very simple. Every time one of those platform consoles glows green, it means it wants you to press them, so go up to them and press them. Once you've pressed them all, and you've fended off enough of the mutants, the game will end, you'll get your achievement, and it's really as anticlimactic as that. But I hope the guide helped. I hope it was entertaining, if anything else, because I do realise this is a very simple game. That's why I went out of my way to talk about a lot of shit, a lot of different topics, some of them deeper than others. But the next guide you're going to be seeing is going to be Arkham City. The one after that is probably going to be the Missing Link Deus Ex DLC. I'm going to be going for the ridiculous achievement for not using any praxis kits or anything. But there you go, hey, not too rough, there's your achievement. 3 for 75G. One of those is for beating on Nightmare. The only problem is, they pop up in such an awkward fashion that it just says 3 for 75G. This is my separate gamer tag. There it is, finish the campaign on Nightmare for all you doubters. And thanks for watching, guys. If you like what I do, please subscribe, there will be more. This channel is just going to continue to grow, and with your help it should become something quite beautiful. So, you take care now.